Well, my spookies, I hope you're doing well on this Freaky Friday. I know a lot of you seem to really enjoy One More Dance with Laura Lee Hardy on Wednesday as part of our deadly Second Chances summer miniseries, so I thought, why not revisit the other summertime Laura Lee Hardy epic, Prom Night of the Dead. So, get comfortable because things are getting ready to get very creepy, very scary, and more than a little bit bloody, as Laura Lee Hardy returns from the grave to head to a brand new dance, but with a lot of the same deadly moves. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app and enjoy this stroll through memory lane, and I'll see you very soon. Prom Night of the Dead, Part 1 by Rob Fields. Prologue. Prom night, 2 months ago. Lillian Johansson and her boyfriend, Randy Ullery, were dancing to a slow song in the Strickfield High School gymnasium, where the junior and senior prom was being held. As Lillian looked around, she saw that many people were in attendance from both classes. She easily saw the beautiful and busty Taylor Mirren, the previous year's junior crown winner, and knew she would easily win the senior prom queen crown too. Just as Taylor Mirren was the frontrunner for her class's crown, Lillian felt deep down that she would win the junior class crown. The day when Principal Matthew Van Diest announced the nominees for the junior class crown, he called out Lillian's name first. Lillian had dreamed of this moment ever since she had seen the family photo album of her aunt and the current Strickfield High drama instructor, Devin Decker, after she won the senior class crown years ago. Lillian was a spitting image of Anne Hathaway from her Disney years and was the complete opposite of Taylor Mirren in almost every way. Lillian was one of the nicest girls you would ever meet. While she didn't come from money and prestige the way her senior class counterpart did, she believed in her morals and felt they would carry her to becoming a prom queen. As Lillian danced with Randy, she was happy that he was there for her. Lillian had known Randy since the 6th grade. They became a couple midway through 8th grade, and now here they were at their first of 2 proms. Randy and Lillian were a power couple in the junior class. Randy himself was the son of Philip Ullery, who was known as the friendliest mailman in Strickfield, and was also a village councilman. This made Randy a popular student by default. Also, he was just as nice as Lillian. When the slow song was finished and Randy and Lillian decided to leave the gymnasium for a little bit, the two of them went into a dark part of the hallway and talked. Soon they started making out. Lillian had promised herself she would give Randy her virginity once they had left the prom and went to their hotel room. Suddenly, they stopped kissing when they both felt they weren't alone. They turned and saw Lillian's older sister, Cameron, leaning up against a wall and staring hard at them. "Seriously? What do you want now?" Lillian demanded. Cameron moved from the wall and smirked. "Randy, you do realize my sister couldn't give 2 shits about you, right?" Lillian became angry and tightened her fists. "Cameron, just leave us alone, please!" Cameron laughed a little. "Leave you alone? You have something that belongs to me, little sister." She pointed at Lillian. "You were the one who stole Randy from me. You knew how I felt about him, and you didn't care. You just take! Lillian shook her head quickly. "No. I didn't get arrested for stealing and starting fights because you found out about Randy and me. You going to juvie was all on you." Cameron pointed at her. "Because of you! And thanks to you, all my college applications were rejected. Now I gotta take summer school if I want to graduate here. Then it's only gonna be some stupid community college in North Ridgeway for me. All because you had to steal Randy away from me. So, what? You found out he was going away to college, so you fuck me over by stealing Randy so you can get out of this shithole village? Cameron came and got in Randy's face. I mean it. Dump Lillian, or she'll dump you when you can't give her what she wants anymore. Randy groaned and pushed her away. Just leave Lillian alone. Cameron retaliated by grabbing Randy's shoulders and kneeing him hard in the groin, sending him to his knees. You won't ever have to worry about having kids with my baby sister if you ever touch me again like that. She backed away. Go ahead. Stay with Lillian. Like I said, she'll leave you when you least expect it. She laughed scornfully and walked away from them. Lillian sighed sadly as she helped Randy up. We both love you, and you chose me. I can't believe she got so violent when you did. She never used to be like that. Randy put gentle hands on her shoulders. Don't blame yourself, Lillian. She made her choices and went to juvie in Pendleton for them. She sighed again. You're right. Their eyes met, and they kissed passionately again. The more they kissed, the more Lillian knew she could wait no longer. When they stopped kissing, Lillian took Randy's hand. Let's go somewhere where we can be alone. Lillian and Randy went into one of the many empty classrooms. Lillian pulled the door shut and turned to face Randy, who was now transfixed by her beautiful smile. Then she approached him to help him remove his tux jacket. As Randy started to unzip her dress in the back, they heard some loud ruckus in the next classroom over. Oh, come on, Lillian groaned. Really? As she moved away from Randy, he reached out for her. Lillian, don't. Lillian reached the door and opened it to hear screaming as Cheryl Blint, one of the senior class prom queen candidates, ran right past her, holding up the skirt of her dress as she booked it barefoot down the hallway. What the? Lillian muttered. Lillian, come on, Randy protested. Get back in here. As Lillian pulled the door shut, Laura Lee Hardy, another senior class prom queen candidate, suddenly appeared right in front of her. Lillian saw Laura Lee's jaw was tightened. What was more, Laura Lee had a knife. Lillian's eyes opened wide as her life flashed right before her eyes. Before Lillian could move away, before Randy could move to try and save her, Laura Lee Hardy raised the knife and ran it across Lillian's throat, slicing through her delicate skin like warm butter. Lillian gurgled as she held her hand to her new gushing smile, but Laura Lee wasn't finished just yet. Stupid slut, Laura Lee muttered in a deeper, manly voice as she grabbed Lillian by the back of her hair and quickly stabbed her in the stomach 3 times. Then Laura Lee shoved Lillian to the floor and continued her pursuit of Cheryl Blint to the gymnasium and the prom itself. Randy was quickly on his smartphone to 911 to yell for an ambulance for Lillian. Not that it would have mattered. After dropping the phone, he dropped to Lillian and cradled her slain, bloody body in his arms. Oh, God, Lillian, no! He choked through tears. Randy held Lillian until the paramedics had finally arrived for her. When they officially confirmed her death, Randy continued to hold her body as he sobbed and cried. Finally, Randy relinquished Lillian to the paramedics for them to take her to the Strickfield General Hospital's morgue. 2 months later, Monday morning. Roni Brunswick walked into Strickfield High the very next day after graduation. She quickly had to turn around and flick the cigarette she had in her mouth back outside. After coming back in, she blew out the menthol smoke she held in her lungs right inside the building. "Fucking hell," Roni muttered. She walked the hallway until she came to room 12, where she was to begin summer school. "Rhonda Brunswick, glad you could make it. And on time," Principal Matthew Van Diest cheered when she walked in. She glared at him with utter hatred. "The name's Roni, and you can get fucked." Principal Van Diest was used to Roni's outbursts, as well as her choice of words. She flipped him off and started to walk to the back. No, Rhonda," Principal Van Diest called out. When she turned around, he pointed to a chair at the very front. "This seat, right here, has your name on it. Sit." Roni tightened her jaw and resumed going to the back. "I'll fucking piss where I please." As soon as she sat down, Principal Van Diest gestured her way. "Rhonda here, like a few of you, are in my class because, simply put, you won't graduate if you don't pass either government or economics. Now, some of you are juniors getting a head start on senior year, which is great. People like Rhonda are here because they can't be bothered to come to school. Rhonda is also under a plea bargain with Strickfield PD. She has to take my classes and pass both of them to graduate. If she doesn't pass, she doesn't graduate. If she doesn't graduate, she goes right to prison at Glenview for prostitution. Isn't that right, Rhonda? Now come up here and sit, or I'll just flunk you right here and now. Then you can write me hate mail from your prison cell." Roni was heaving by the time he finished and shot up. "I'm gonna fucking kill you!" As she started to rush at him, a guy quickly got out of his seat and wrapped his arms around her, hugging her close to keep her from Principal Van Diest. "Just stop," the guy said calmly in her ear. "Let me go!" Roni yelled. "You want to go to prison?" the guy asked her, still quite calm. "Is he really worth it?" The guy continued to hold Roni close until he felt her heaving slow and finally stop. He stepped back and looked her in the face. She looked back at him. When he saw he had defused her, he stepped aside and let her walk to the seat Principal Van Diest had reserved just for her. Before she sat down, she pointed right at Van Diest. "Don't be staring at my fucking tits!" When Roni sat, she glared at the principal as she folded her arms in front of her, pushing up her already evident breasts more. "Thank you, Derek," Principal Van Diest said to the guy who stopped Roni from attacking him. Roni looked around and saw some of the people she would be in room 12 with for 30 summer school days. 15 for government, 15 for economics, with July 4th being on a Saturday. Unfortunately for her, she needed to pass both classes if she wanted to both graduate Strickfield High and not go straight to prison. It was no secret to some students that Roni Brunswick was a girl who came up hard. She lived on her own in an apartment at Strickfield Cove, the very same apartment Laura Lee Hardy lived by. By this time, Laura Lee Hardy came to be known as the prom queen killer and the creator of the event that would be forever known around Strickfield as the prom from hell. Roni couldn't wait to move into the apartment upon hearing this, especially since the landlord offered her discounted rent and free utilities just to fill that particular, seemingly unfillable vacancy. Some students actually believed that Laura Lee Hardy was possessing Roni, which made her laugh. Roni was also a drug dealer and a self-employed prostitute. She certainly dressed the part with her halter top that barely contained her breasts, her denim booty shorts, and her stiletto heels. She wore dark eyeshadow, blush, lip gloss, and nail polish. Her dyed mix of silver and black hair certainly added to her sex appeal. Roni definitely had no problem finding clients willing to pay her rates. It was at a campus fraternity party where Detective Drake Kaczmarek had arrested her for prostitution while going undercover at Strickfield University. This wasn't Roni's first meeting with Detective Kaczmarek. Roni had been arrested for vandalizing Principal Van Diest's house when she spray-painted choice words in artistic graffiti fashion on the front of his house and garage. Detective Kaczmarek had been on his way back to the station after wrapping up a case and had seen Roni finishing her artwork. Roni was a minor at the time and was sent to the Pendleton Juvenile Detention Center. Now, Roni was an adult when Detective Kaczmarek caught her prostituting herself at Strickfield University. He learned that Roni was academically smart, even though she was a troublemaker. She started off high school on the right path and was smart enough to be able to skip sophomore year. After that, she seemed to make a complete 180. Not only did Roni get worse, she was on the verge of not graduating, and prison now. After talking to and listening to Detective Kaczmarek, the judge decided not to send Roni to prison and offered her an alternative sentence. She would go to summer school and pass the 2 classes she needed for graduation, pay for the damages to Principal Van Diest's property, and perform community service. Failure to adhere to any of those conditions would result in her losing her probation and going straight to the Glenview Correctional Facility outside of North Ridgeway. Now here she was, right in front of the man she hated. Sure, she would pass his classes, but she was definitely going to have some fun with him along the way. Also, she had business with some of the students in that very classroom. Roni immediately saw Primrose Mirren and laughed inside at the thought of the rich girl being an airhead. She knew Primrose never opened a textbook. Not once. No, she was too busy on her smartphone and getting popular on social media, which got her sent to Principal Van Diest's office several times. She could dress like a proper princess, but what good was it if you didn't have book smarts? And then there was Samuel Wormton, the worm to most everybody. No doubt he was there to get the credits so he could graduate early. Roni knew he had made good money off many students by writing papers and doing homework assignments for them. How many times had Roni seen Primrose Mirren giving him money? Roni also knew the 2 of them liked each other. She knew Randy Ullery, but who didn't? He was one of the most popular students at Strickfield High. She kind of felt sorry for him about what had happened with Lillian Johansson. Sure, Randy and Roni had butted heads on occasion, but even she felt that Lillian didn't deserve what had happened to her at the prom from hell. When it came to Randy, it seemed he was finally moving on from Lillian and was now seeing her older sister, Cameron. Roni knew Cameron from Pendleton. In fact, the 2 of them were roommates. Roni and Cameron fought quite a bit, which got them in trouble several times. Cameron earned Roni's respect when she had a chance to rat her roommate out for smoking pot she had stashed away. Cameron lied and said she never saw Roni smoking anything. Roni got away with it, and the 2 girls started getting along better after that. They even started watching each other's backs at Pendleton. For now, Cameron was okay in Roni's book. Now Roni gazed upon Derek Masters, the guy who had just saved her from possibly going to prison for murder 1. She felt her heart skipping beats now. For one thing, he had a great smell. 2, what a physique. 3, he wasn't afraid to touch her. And his voice, just the way it cut through her rage. Maybe it was more than just a crush when he looked her way and smiled a little. She quickly faced front and felt her heart skipping even more beats. Maybe summer school wasn't going to be so bad, after all. When Principal Van Diest gave everyone a break at the first hour, Roni planned on going outside to smoke a cigarette. As she reached the main doors, she saw some students from her class and one from a different class gathered around in the library. Curiosity got the better of Roni, and all eyes went right to her as she entered. "Like what you see?" she snapped, pushing up on her breasts. "Just looking at a yearbook left here," Regal Fairlane, the preppy girl who wasn't in her class, told her. Roni knew Regal was a member of the National Honor Society. She wasn't looking to graduate early, however. She was taking driver's education with Mr. Austin Zachary. She just never had the time when she should have taken it at 16 with all the coursework she was doing. She was finally learning to drive now. Roni herself knew a few things about Regal that the other students didn't. Things Regal could get into serious trouble for. Roni had her reasons for keeping quiet about her, however. Roni also recognized Bill Baxter, a guy who couldn't care less about keeping his grades up, which was why his parents enrolled him in summer school, again. Bill was a senior who failed both government and economics during the regular school year and had to take and pass Principal Van Diest's classes if he wanted to graduate. Also, Randy Ullery and his girlfriend, Cameron Johansson, were among them. Randy was obviously taking Van Diest's classes to not have to take them senior year. Roni humored herself and looked at the yearbook with the others. Roni knew she had her own popularity compared to the jocks, preps, and others in the yearbooks, thanks to her looks and her gorgeous body. She also had connections and planned on following up on some of them once she got out from under Principal Van Diest's iron glare. It wasn't long before the pages for the prom were revealed. The first 2 pages showed all of the candidates from both the junior and senior classes that were taken after Van Diest had announced them. Roni was laughing when she saw someone had written "Prom from Hell" across both pages. Also, "Prom Queen Killer" was written with arrows pointing to Laura Lee Hardy in both her solo and group pictures. "Something funny?" Randy demanded. Roni smirked. "Yeah, it's funny what these fucking stupid-ass girls will do for plastic crowns, even kill each other for 'em." Randy was more upset now. "You think this is all funny?" He pointed to the picture of Lillian Johansson. "She was my girlfriend." Roni laughed again and pointed to Cameron. "And now you're fucking her? Wow. Talk about keeping it in the family. Imagine what Lillian will say when she finds you two together. Or didn't you read in the Strickfield Journal her body disappeared from the hospital morgue after it was brought there?" Cameron Johansson pointed right at her. "You just stop, or I'll kick your fucking ass again, just like back in Pendleton, Roomie." Roni rolled her eyes. "Bitch, please. I beat your ass just as many times." She looked at Randy. "Did your new girlfriend here tell you how many times we kept each other warm at night in Pendleton?" When Randy suddenly went for Roni, she raised her fists. Even though she felt sorry for Randy losing Lillian the way he did, she wasn't above fighting him. The others quickly got in between them. That was when Roni suddenly felt arms wrapping around her, for the second time that morning. She turned around to see Derek Masters. The moment their eyes met, and she smelled his scent again, Roni was diffused for the second time. Her heart started fluttering again. "You don't want to get in trouble again," he told her softly. Derek took her hand and walked her out of the library. "But I do," she said weakly. She was powerless to fight Derek and let him take her outside. Derek watched her light up a cigarette and smirked. Sensing he liked her, Roni gave him a warm smile that told him she'd like to get to know him better, too. Week 1, Monday night. It was the first night of the Feltner County Fair, one of 2 county fairs in Strickfield. The Feltner County Fair commenced the week after the school year was over, with the Strickfield County Fair taking place the week before the school year began. Many people were enjoying the festivities and eating fair food. Regal Fairlane walked around the fair until she slipped into the empty stadium and went underneath the bleachers. When she saw her summer school teacher, she smiled brightly as he approached. Regal and Austin Zachary held each other tight as they kissed passionately. Regal had been in love with Austin since she first took classes with him during the regular school year. It was on her 18th birthday that Austin kept Regal after school and surprised her by kissing her. From there, he had secretly taken Regal to his house where they slept together and began their heated, forbidden love affair. "I love you, Regal," Austin said after they finished kissing. I love you," she breathed. Then he took her hand. "Let's ride through the haunted house together." Regal nodded quickly. Then they made their way to the attraction's ticket booth, where Austin paid the admission. They got into their waiting car and were soon moving along. Regal and Austin kissed hungrily as they slowly moved through the spooky scenes. After Austin whispered in her ear, the 2 of them left the car. Shortly after, Austin took Regal inside one of the pieces of scenery. The spooky music and sounds concealed their loud moans as they undressed each other and continued their forbidden passion until the ride was finally shut down, telling them that the fair was closing. They got dressed and left the haunted house without being caught. It was quite windy and cloudy. They weren't sure if it was going to rain or not, but Austin draped an arm around Regal and held her to him. Then they heard menacing, horrible laughter. "What was that?" Regal wondered. "I don't know," Austin replied. "Sounds like a girl." Regal gasped. "Look!" Austin also gasped when he saw what Regal had seen. It was a glowing, ghostly girl clad in what appeared to be a prom dress. "Is that Lillian Johansson?" Regal choked. "Can't be," Austin countered. "She's dead. The prom queen killer got her." "Yes, Laura Lee Hardy indeed claimed me, Mr. Zachary," the ghostly girl said. Then she pointed to him. "And you 2 were safe and snug far away when I was being murdered." Lillian looked very angry now. "Don't you know teachers aren't supposed to have relationships with students?" Regal stammered. What does that have to do with you? You were living most sinfully while so many people died on prom night," Lillian snapped. "And now you are mine." When Lillian let out an ear-piercing scream, Regal and Austin let out their own scream and went back into the haunted house. They both went in opposite directions on impulse. Regal ran through the ride in reverse. She hid and looked to see if Lillian was still chasing her. She had already moved through several scenes without seeing her. Several minutes later, the attraction came to life, making Regal scream. Then she looked up to the hangman's gallows and screamed even more when she saw Austin's slain form hung on the noose as the animatronic hangman laughed its horrible, evil laughter. Regal turned and ran until she escaped the ride, only to run into Lillian's ghost again. "Mr. Zachary belongs to me now," she pointed at Regal. Live your last sinful moments while you still can. I'll be coming for you soon. Regal's eyes rolled up in her head as she fainted in front of the ghost. First week, Tuesday. Regal Fairlane couldn't sleep the night before. After finding Mr. Zachary's body, she made an anonymous phone call to the police. From there, she hid and waited. After the police searched the closed haunted house attraction, Regal saw they hadn't found Austin's body. But how could that be? It was right in the open, where anyone going through the attraction could have easily seen it. After the police had left, Regal snuck back into the haunted house and went to the scene with the hangman's gallows. She was completely beside herself when she didn't see the body. There wasn't even any sign of blood. When she heard noises, she quickly made her escape and went straight home. She was still replaying the previous night's events again and again in her mind as she walked into Strickfield High School. She walked to room 23 and saw the other students waiting. Naturally, Austin never appeared. It wasn't long before Principal Van Diest came into the classroom to report that Mr. Zachary had called in and quit. Since summer school had just started, the principal gave Regal the option of transferring to another class. She chose to join room 12 with him. At the break, Regal walked into the library and found the same people from the day before, looking at the yearbook. Then she approached Randy Ullery and Cameron Johansson. "Did you see Lillian?" Regal shakingly asked Cameron. Cameron looked at her as if she'd lost her mind. "Excuse me? What?" Regal explained seeing Lillian's ghost at the Feltner County Fair the night before. She didn't mention seeing Mr. Zachary or his death. Cameron immediately lashed out and shoved Regal to the floor. Cameron pointed down at her. "Lillian is dead, you dumb bitch." "What's going on in here?" a voice called out. Everybody looked to see Principal Matthew Van Diest walking in. He extended his hand and helped Regal to her feet. The principal, who was also teaching the summer sessions of government and economics, looked right at them. "Fuck off, asshole," Roni Brunswick told him. Van Diest didn't even look at her as he pointed her way. "Can it, Rhonda?" Then he looked at Cameron and Regal. "Now, what's going on?" The principal listened as the two girls explained their sides. When they finished, he just sighed. "It's really too early in the term for this. I'll forget this confrontation happened. This time. Next time, you're both out of summer school and each get an F. Understand?" When both girls nodded quickly, Van Diest pointed to the door. "Back to class." Second week. When Principal Van Diest gave the class a break, Roni Brunswick went outside and lit up a cigarette. She continued to think about Derek Masters. She couldn't understand why a plain, ordinary kind of guy was interested in a hood like her. He had talked to her every day at break. He'd even taken her home to Strickfield Cove at the end of class. Derek would soon be outside to talk to her again. At this point, she decided she would definitely go out with him, if he asked her. Instead of Derek coming to meet her, it was Principal Van Diest. "Rhonda Brunswick, how many times have I told you? How many times? Smoking is not allowed on school property." Roni didn't look at him. "And how many times I gotta tell you? Fuck off! I'll fucking smoke if I wanna." Van Diest grabbed her and turned her to face him. That was when Roni thrusted her switchblade almost to where the tip would touch Van Diest's throat, making him release her. Don't you ever put your motherfucking hands on me, you son of a bitch, Roni hissed. Then she smiled. Oh, you want to expel me and send me to prison? Do it! Fucking expel me! Give me a reason to finally kill your ass. She was shaking with rage. I fucking hate you! Principal Van Diest slowly shook his head. Hate me all you want, Rhonda. Or did you forget you were caught in a rather compromising position with Bill Baxter in the locker room shower, on school property? You both knew better. Roni clenched her teeth hard as she raised the switchblade. But Roni suddenly felt gentle arms wrapping around her from behind. Then Derek Masters said softly in her ear, Don't. You're going to regret it for the rest of your life. He ain't worth it. Let me go, Derek, she choked out. Principal Van Diest quickly snatched Roni's wrist and took her switchblade. I'm not expelling you, Rhonda. You need to understand there are better ways to get ahead in life than selling drugs. Or your body. Roni laughed. You think finding me and Bill fucking in the school shower is why I'm pissed at you? It's the way you look at me, always undressing me with your eyes. When Derek let go of her, Roni moved to Van Diest. You saw me wet and naked that day. You're supposed to be the principal here, not a fucking pervert. Way I'm seeing it. You can see me naked, then I'm doing what I fucking want. So fucking expel me. You know you wanna. Van Diest shook his head. Nope. If you want to leave, I'm not stopping you, but you'll be on your way to prison. Remember your probation, Rhonda. Face it, you're going to stay right here and finish my classes with passing grades. Then, and only then, you can go. Roni screamed with rage. Then she turned and ran off. Derek just looked her way, but didn't give chase. Principal Van Diest sighed. Please go find her, Derek. Bring her back to class. Yes, sir, he replied. Roni tried to go into the gymnasium, but every door to it was locked. After learning Ms. Decker, the drama instructor, had the gymnasium reserved for some secret event Principal Van Diest approved, Roni descended the basement stairs and went into a back room. She pulled a compact out of her denim booty shorts and opened it. She removed a razor blade, a mini straw, and a vial of cocaine. After making 2 lines with the razor blade on the mirror, she did them both using the straw. Roni felt ashamed that Derek had learned about how she got busted with Bill Baxter. It was in the boys' locker room an hour after school. Van Diest had gone in to talk to Coach Brackett. Not seeing him in his office, Van Diest heard the showers going and some strange noises. Knowing there were no sports practices that day, he crept back and found Bill pounding Roni in a quite revealing sexual position. Van Diest knew that Bill had paid her for sex, but couldn't prove it. Also, the principal had seen Roni dripping wet and in all of her naked glory. That was just before prom night. Roni really wanted to kill Principal Van Diest in the worst way. As she contemplated doing 2 more lines of cocaine, she heard some strange noises. She got angry and put her compact away. Then she came out and saw the male shape. Get fucked, Van Diest! Roni rushed at him with her fist cocked, ready to lay him out. Then she leaped at her target, only to gasp and quickly pull her fist back. Derek Masters easily caught Roni and gently lowered her back to her feet. Diffused by Derek yet again, Roni shamefully turned her head away. I'm sorry you heard what Van Diest said. No judgments, he replied softly. Roni gazed at him. Why are you so fucking sweet to me? She stepped back and pointed up. You can have any of them cunts upstairs. What makes me so fucking special? In the dim light, she saw Derek smile a little. Then Roni shook her head quickly as he gently backed her into a corner. Her heart felt ready to explode in her chest as she smelled his intoxicating scent. Then she gasped as Derek pressed his lips to hers and finally kissed her. Roni moaned and kissed him back. Oh, how she wanted and waited for this moment. Derek and Roni held each other as they made out for several minutes. Deep down, Derek knew that Roni was trouble. But from the first moment he had seen her, he had lost his heart and vowed to win her. Maybe knowing that Roni was a tortured soul was what had drawn him to her. It didn't matter to him what Roni was or what she had done. He cared deeply about her and wanted to save her, even if from herself. When they finished kissing, he caressed her cheek. Then he kissed her again, a longer one this time. He felt Roni shaking in his arms as she kissed him back with the same fire he had kissed her. When they finished this kiss, Roni was completely under his spell as he took her hand and walked her back upstairs. Soon, they were walking back into Van Diest's class. Roni was high both from the cocaine and her elevated emotions, but still coherent. Roni caught Regal looking at them. "The fuck you looking at, Preppy?" Principal Van Diest pointed sharply at her. "You will stop with the profanity, Rhonda, and starting tomorrow, put some clothes on before you come to school." "Two things," Roni raised her index finger. "One, what I'm wearing ain't against school code. And two," she turned her hand and raised her middle finger. "Fuck you." She smirked. "And we both know you don't want me overdressing, right?" With that, Roni and Derek took their seats. Principal Van Diest resumed his class. Week 3, Thursday. Roni was again frustrated with Principal Van Diest. After busting her for smoking on school property, again, he decided to make an example of her by calling on just her for the rest of the class. Eventually, this caused yet another heated confrontation between them when she climbed over her desk and attacked him. Van Diest still wouldn't expel her. Roni wondered if he truly enjoyed looking at her luscious body that much, or just wanted to put her in her place. Now, she just wanted to lose herself somewhere and enjoy some cocaine. As she passed the library, she saw Primrose Mirren and Samuel Wormton talking to each other as they looked at the yearbook, like they were lovers. If there was one thing Roni enjoyed, even more than cocaine, it was all the dirt she found on certain people. She appreciated how the Worm sold homework assignments to people who could afford his prices, especially the reports. He sold A's the same way she sold quality drugs. She knew he did the assignments in his client's style of handwriting. This way they weren't easily traceable back to him. Also, nobody ever ratted him out. Primrose Mirren was certainly a piece of work, always acting so nicey nice to people. The truth was she was as exploitative as any other Mirren. This was simply her way of doing it. Roni hated rich people like the Mirrens, especially Primrose. She had no problem flaunting her family's money to get whatever she wanted in life. Roni had to fight and do many questionable things just to be able to live. She was making good money herself with selling premium drugs and even her body, but seeing Primrose showing her cleavage and being all flirty with the Worm was just making her sick. She was even angrier with Primrose than she was with Principal Van Diest. As Roni was about to march in and confront Primrose, she was stopped by another student in her class. Bill Baxter was one of her regulars who paid her for both drugs and sex. "What?" Roni whispered. "You got him?" he whispered back. She sighed. "Out back." Bill followed her around the library, through the empty girls' locker room, and out the back doors. They went underneath the visitors' bleachers at the stadium where no one would likely find them. She produced a pharmacy container and shook it. "Same number of pills, same price," she said. Bill paid the cash for the high-quality uppers. Of course, Roni counted the money before handing over the merchandise. To her, Bill was too dumb to make sure all the pills were in the container. Not that she ever shorted a client. A deal was a deal. Roni knew Bill was a loser, but as long as he had the cash for her goods and services. Bill showed Roni some more cash as he looked over her ravishing body. "How much for a quick fuck?" Roni almost took the money, but she quickly reconsidered. "Get the fuck out of here. I ain't selling no more sugar, especially after getting caught by Van Diest. You said nobody'd find us. Boy, I was fucking stupid listening to your dumbass." Bill growled and put his hands on her shoulders. "I said, I want to fuck you. How much?" Then he tried grabbing her tight-fitting t-shirt. But Bill was suddenly met with a switchblade under his chin. "Keep your motherfucking hands off me, or you ain't ever gonna have to worry about paying for laying ever again." As Bill stepped slowly back, Roni glared at him. "I said I ain't selling no more fucking sugar. This candy store's out of business. Now, fuck off." "Stop right there!" A familiar voice called out. When Principal Van Diest saw Bill and Roni together, he muttered, "You two again." Randy Ullery was with the principal and pointed right at Roni. "She sold Bill some drugs!" "Did you, Rhonda?" Van Diest demanded. "And give me that goddamn switchblade, now!" Roni was really angry. "Fuck off, Van Diest. I swear, I'll shove this blade straight up your fucking ass." But Roni hadn't expected Principal Van Diest's own rage towards her. He suddenly grabbed her and made her drop the knife. Roni roared and elbowed him. When she went for her switchblade, Randy tackled her. Bill quickly escaped. Roni got out from underneath Randy to get to her feet and reclaim her weapon. She turned to Randy and swung the switchblade to make him back up. "You're on my shit list, you fucking snitch. I wish to God I'd killed your goddamn Lillian myself." Randy screamed and pushed right at her. He tackled her again and held her down as Van Diest relieved Roni of her switchblade. "Van Diest, you motherfucker!" Roni screamed. "I fucking hate you! And I'm sick of hearing about you selling drugs at my school!" Van Diest shouted back. "I'm going to search you now, Rhonda. I find any drugs, you are done here. Hold her down, Randy. Sit on her." But Roni was too wily and again wiggled out from underneath Randy. She got up and ran away. From there, Principal Van Diest and Randy gave chase. However, Roni managed to hide and lose both of them. Roni was still angry at Bill. "This is the second time you got me in trouble, Baxter. I'm gonna fucking kill your ass." And then Roni stormed off to find Bill. Bill was down in the basement. He was angry at having Principal Van Diest catch him and Roni a second time. He was even angrier at Roni for not selling him her deliciously sweet body again. He certainly wasn't a looker, and he was a good 50-plus pounds overweight, but having sex with Roni still counted, even if he paid her for it. "Bitch!" he yelled. He hated having to flush the pills he had just bought off Roni down a restroom toilet. However, he managed to hold on to 2 of them. He quickly popped them into his mouth and drained the bottle of Coke he grabbed out of the vending machine. He would return to class once he felt the uppers kicking in. Suddenly, everything went dark. "Shit," Bill muttered. The lights seemingly came back on. Then Bill turned to the stairway and saw the glowing form of Lillian Johansson blocking the way. "You always were such a loser, Bill," the ghost said. "You came to the prom and caused trouble, even spiking the punch. What's ironic is that Laura Lee Hardy never came anywhere near you, yet I ended up losing my life. That's not exactly fair, is it?" Lillian produced a knife. Let's rectify that, right here and now. Get away from me! Bill wailed as he turned and ran. Bill found himself cornered very quickly. Lillian Johansson was soon on him. Bill was petrified and screamed as Lillian ran the knife across his throat. Then she stabbed him in the stomach, the very same way Laura Lee Hardy had stabbed her on prom night. The last thing Bill saw as he sunk to the floor and into everlasting darkness was Lillian laughing scornfully. Week 4, Wednesday. Roni had passed government and was now midway through the first week of economics. Roni and Derek left class together holding hands. Derek had finally asked her out on a date. She was already planning to invite him into her apartment at Strickfield Cove when the date was over, and let him ravage her as much as he wanted. As for Bill Baxter, he never returned to class after Principal Van Diest was late to their drug transaction off the football field. As a result, Principal Van Diest flunked him. Not that Roni cared, since the principal found no evidence of drugs on her after he'd finally caught her and pulled her into his office. As Roni and Derek passed the gymnasium doors, she decided he could have her right now and turned into Derek and kissed him. She backed him up into the wall where they kissed hungrily and passionately. When they stopped, she produced the keys she had swiped from the locked gymnasium. "You wanna?" she purred. Derek answered her by kissing her again. When they finished, she unlocked one of the doors and started to open it. "Stop!" a voice called out. They turned to see Devin Decker approaching them. "The gymnasium is currently off limits and is closed until the end of summer school. I'll take those keys." "What are you going to do? Give us detention?" Roni retorted, handing the keys to her. "Like you said, it's summer school." But Derek would prove again to be the voice of reason. "It's okay, Roni. Let's just go to Denoyer's Grill." When Derek took Roni's hand and interlaced his fingers with hers, she sighed. "Okay, baby, let's eat." But something wasn't sitting right with Roni. She turned back to Ms. Decker. "What are you doing here anyway? You ain't teaching no summer school classes?" "If you must know, I'm working on a very special project in the gymnasium," Devin answered, relocking the door. "Principal Van Diest knows. As I said, the event will be at the end of the summer school term. I'd very much love it if you and Derek would attend." Roni rolled her eyes. "Fuck that." She glanced at Derek. "Let's go." Derek gave Ms. Decker an apologetic smile as he and Roni walked to the main doors. Week 5, Friday night. Primrose Mirren met Samuel Wormton in the alley next to the Strickfield Centennial Theater. She paid him money for an economics paper Principal Van Diest had assigned. After giving her the paper, she looked it over with satisfaction. Then the two of them came together and kissed. Primrose never planned on liking the worm, but even Mirrens are human. By now, she was having sex with him. When they finished kissing, they knew they wanted to have sex again, soon. "My parents won't be home all night," Primrose offered. "Good. Mine sure will be," Samuel replied. Primrose took his hand and they began walking to the Mirren gated community. When they reached an alley, Primrose eased him into it. "It's just on the other side." They were halfway through the alley when their eyes met, and they kissed again. Primrose knew they wouldn't make it to the gated community. As they started to undress each other, they stopped when they heard a strange, eerie laughter. They let go of each other and turned to see the ghost of Lillian Johansson, glowing brilliantly. She laughed as she pointed right at them. "You were there on prom night as one of the competitors to my crown, Primrose. I heard rumors you were going to buy the crown, like you buy your homework." Lillian looked very angry now. "Now, how fair is that? You wanted to take from me, so I'm going to take from you." She pointed right at Samuel. "Die!" And suddenly, Samuel cried out, seemingly in pain, yet there was no sign he had been touched. "Primrose," he choked. Then he fell forward and landed on his face. Primrose lowered herself and checked his pulse. She shook her head quickly. "No, no, no! You can't be dead, Sam!" When the ghost came for her, Primrose screamed and ran for her life. She didn't stop running until she reached her gated community. As she started entering the code to open the side door next to the gate, her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID. Roni Brunswick. Yeah? She stammered. "Paying a nerd to do all your homework for you's gotta be nice. It's only fair you're fucking him now." "What do you even care?" Primrose demanded. "Because you ain't selling drugs or your body just to make ends meet. You're a spoiled brat who gets everything handed to her by mommy and daddy. Well, Mama Ronnie's gonna give you something sooner than you think." The call ended. After Primrose entered the code and stepped through the gate, there was a rumble. Then it began to rain. She started crying again, remembering Samuel was killed by Lillian Johansson's ghost. Felt almost like a dream. She needed to get home and call the police. "And tell them what?" Primrose chastised herself. "Like they're really going to believe I'm being chased by a ghost." Primrose was soaked by the time she reached her house and walked inside to the waiting darkness. Suddenly, she was grabbed from behind and thrown to the kitchen floor. A female figure in a dark outfit throttled Primrose's throat as she sat on top of her. Her eyes opened wide as she saw the knife the figure held up, ready for the kill. Primrose screamed as the knife came down fast. Week 5, Friday night. Primrose Mirren screamed at the top of her lungs as the knife suddenly came down fast. Remembering that Samuel Wormton was killed by Lillian Johansson's ghost, she grabbed her assailant's wrist. She groaned and fought back with fear-fueled strength and finally freed herself. When Primrose got to her feet, her attacker pursued her. Primrose screamed again as she ran through her house. The knife almost came down on her hand as she used it to push off of a lamp table. She saw there was only one place she could run. The locked fancy French patio doors leading out to the backyard. She knew she had to save herself, and it was better to do what she had in mind now and catch hell from her parents later. Primrose cried out for her life as she crashed right through the doors. She could feel the cuts on her arms and legs as she reached the fence on the other side of the in-ground swimming pool. She climbed the fence and ran until she reached the main gate, where she opened the side door and escaped. Final week, Monday morning. On Saturday morning, Primrose certainly did catch hell from her parents for the damage they saw in the house upon coming home. After she explained what had happened, they eased off her. They knew their daughter well enough to know she wouldn't lie to them about someone attacking her. Her parents called the police, resulting in Primrose answering several questions. When she told the police what had happened in the alley next to the Strickfield Centennial Theater, omitting the details about Lillian Johansson, they told her they would investigate it. When the police left, Primrose was taken to Strickfield General Hospital and was treated for her injuries, mostly scratches and minor cuts. After coming back home, Primrose cleaned up and stayed home for the rest of the weekend. She hadn't gotten much sleep, which showed when she returned to Strickfield High School on Monday. As soon as Primrose walked into room 12, she immediately caught the menacing look from Roni Brunswick. Primrose gulped when she remembered her attacker was definitely female, in spite of being completely covered in all black. Now she wondered if it had been Roni. But Roni wouldn't have covered up like that, would she? She was always so direct and never backed down from anybody, especially Principal Van Diest. Primrose took her seat and choked when she saw Samuel Wormton's empty seat, knowing she would never see him again, except, possibly, at his funeral. Okay, she was paying him to write her papers. As far as she was concerned, it was her money, to do with as she liked, and she knew everybody else, including the principal himself, had done something discreet in their time. Sure, she was guilty of cheating. She was guilty of a lot of things. But who wasn't? This was going to be a very, very long 3 hours. At the break, Primrose saw Roni march right into the library and point right at her as she was looking at the yearbook. Primrose became scared and ran from the library. She didn't get very far when Roni yanked on her strawberry blonde hair and shoved her into an empty classroom. Roni pulled the door shut behind her, then pressed herself up against her prey. "You afraid of me, little Primrose? You should be, you fucking cheater." Primrose tried to compose herself. "Okay, I'm a cheater, but you are a drug dealer. And a whore." Roni smirked. "And it was people like you who put me there. Funny thing, it's also people like you who find people like me when you need uppers for ballet recitals. Then you needed Adderall to win Miss Strickfield at the county fair last year. Then you was wanting coke to win the election for student council president next year." "What do you want?" Primrose asked weakly. "What you owe for everything I hooked you up with. I gave them to you on credit 'cause you're a Mirren, which means you were good for it. But you've been avoiding me, rich girl. What, you can pay your nerdy lover for doing your homework, but you can't pay me?" They stared into each other's eyes for a long moment. Then Primrose nodded. "Yeah, I can pay you. What do I owe you?" Roni smiled sweetly now. 10. Primrose's eyes and mouth widened. 10 grand? For the drugs? 3 grand for the drugs I gave you so far, and $1 grand for every week of summer school for keeping my mouth shut about you cheating, including this week. You pay up, your secret stays safe. And if not... Roni took out her smartphone and showed Primrose the footage she captured of her and Samuel making their exchange in the alley next to the Centennial Theater from that fateful night. "And I got a few more of these just like it." Primrose started to cry a little now. Then she nodded. "Okay." When Primrose opened her purse and pulled out her money, Roni snatched it and counted it out. "Wow, 4 grand? I'm surprised you carry that kind of money on you." Then she smiled. "I'll call this an installment. Always a pleasure doing business with you, little Primrose." "So I just owe you another 5 grand then?" Primrose inquired. Roni laughed. "Nah, you still owe me 6, due on Friday." Primrose gasped. "What's the extra 1,000 for?" Roni quickly placed a pharmaceutical container in her hand. "For these. You really look like shit." She held Primrose's hand tightly. "You don't pay me the final 6 grand. She showed Primrose her switchblade. "I'll cut a slash on your arm for every day you miss a payment, as a reminder. You get real delinquent, I'll just cut your fucking heart out, and then I'll post every video I got of you on social media. You hearing me, rich girl?" She retracted the blade. "Now get the fuck out of my face." Roni stepped aside and let Primrose leave. She knew she had time to get a few lines of cocaine in before going back to class. She didn't really need it, but she was feeling really sweet at the moment with all that cash in her pocket, and knowing much more was coming. She could certainly treat herself today. When the next break came, Roni targeted Regal Fairlane and followed her to see her going into an empty classroom. As Regal pulled the door shut, Roni suddenly came into the room with her. "What's the matter, Preppy? Still missing your sexy teacher boyfriend?" Roni asked, pulling the door shut behind her. "What?" Regal choked out. Roni smiled. "Yeah, I know all about you fucking Mr. Zachary. In fact," Roni had her smartphone and showed Regal the footage she captured of them meeting at the Strickfield County Fair, the night Austin was killed. Regal became dizzy when she saw some of the rather NSFW content from inside the haunted house. Roni knew everything. She stopped the video. "You wasn't fucking him for grades, so what's up with you?" Regal groaned. "No, it wasn't for grades. I like older men. I'm not going into my sex life with you." Roni sighed, romantically. "Nice. You got a fetish. We all got 'em. But that ain't all I want to talk to you about, Preppy. You owe me green for those quality caffeine pills you wanted around midterms and finals week during the regular school year. I let you pay me with a night of hot sex after midterms because we were both in the mood, so I ain't counting that. But you still owe me for finals week." "How much?" Regal asked. $500 for the pills." Roni smirked her evil smirk. "And $1,000 for each of these 6 weeks of summer school that I didn't post this video to social media. So you owe me $6,500 altogether." I don't have that kind of money," Regal shrieked. "I can pay you for the pills, but the rest, that's extortion." She put her hands to her head in frustration. "Why, Roni? What the hell did I ever do to you?" Roni smirked again. "How about when you stole Daddy's money to buy ecstasy from me when you wanted to fuck on it with your teacher back on your birthday? Yeah, looky here, I got that one on my phone too. Extra steamy. And when Daddy cornered you about the missing green, you told him I broke in and lifted it, didn't you? The popo couldn't hang it on me, but I knew you fucked me. Only fair I fuck you back." Roni showed Regal her switchblade and gave her the same threats she made to Primrose Mirren one break earlier. Then she finished by asking Regal, "Now, you got the green to give me today?" Regal felt sick to her stomach from seeing Roni's videos of her and Austin, but she immediately paid Roni the money for the drugs. After that, Roni opened the door for Regal and let her walk out. From there, the two girls walked back to class. Final week, Tuesday. After school, Primrose met up with Regal in the old, abandoned rail yard on the outskirts of the village. Primrose had seen Regal and Roni walking back into the classroom together the day before. Having a pretty good idea of what had transpired between them, she contacted Regal and arranged a meeting. The girls confided in each other about why they were in trouble with Roni. "I can't afford to pay $6,000, Regal told Primrose. "Now I'll have to stay out in the open so Roni won't catch me alone somewhere. I can't even go into a restroom anywhere, knowing Roni will corner me for her blackmail money." "I know what you mean," Primrose replied. "I can pay her for sure, but I'm not going to. The money for the drugs was enough. I won't pay for blackmail." "At least you didn't have to pay her with sex," Regal muttered. "I'm not into girls, especially skanky ones like Roni Brunswick." "You could have fooled me, Regal. You know damn well you loved it," a familiar voice interrupted. "You even wanted some hot morning sex." Regal and Primrose gasped when they saw Roni approaching them. She still had her eyes locked on Regal. "Okay, I ain't no good girl, but I take great care of my body. Men pay big money for a hot piece of ass like me." Roni brought out 2 switchblades and sprang them to life. "You two ain't paying up? That's fine. Like I said, I'm taking both your fucking hearts." She opened her eyes wide. "Hey, I can be the new Queen of Hearts killer, right here in Strickfield." "Run, Regal!" Primrose screamed. The 2 girls turned and ran. They heard Roni laughing maniacally behind them. Roni hadn't done any cocaine today, but she sure could act like she had. Contrary to what people thought, Roni knew her limits on drugs and never overindulged. In fact, she only ever did cocaine as her drug of choice. Okay, maybe also some pot. She never did any of the other drugs she sold. She got off on fear more than anything else, and these girls were just priceless. Regal and Primrose were quite surprised at how fast Roni could run and keep up with them, even in her stiletto heels. Roni managed to chase her targets onto Indian Hollow Road. At one point, both girls split up. Roni continued pursuing Regal. After several minutes, Regal reached a wooden fence and climbed over it into a field. Regal ran onto the soft, freshly plowed soil and found it harder and harder to run. Seeing this, Roni took her time climbing over the fence. Then she seemingly just walked until she caught up to her prey. Regal cried out when Roni shoved her and made her fall onto her back. Then Roni sat on her and smirked. "Now, Preppy, I want another look at that sizzling body of yours before I cut your heart out." Roni purred, cutting off the top button on Regal's blouse. "That's what you get for trying to fuck me over." Regal began to cry now. "Please, no." "Stop!" a voice called out. Roni looked up and saw the guy running towards them. When he got close enough, Roni recognized him immediately. "You?" Roni never fought Derek Masters when he cautiously took her switchblades. She even let him help her get off of Regal and back onto her feet. Then he took Regal's hand and helped her up too. "Oh, thank God. Thank you so much, Derek," Regal cried. "Please, help me." Derek nodded. "I got this. Go on home, Regal." Regal nodded quickly and made her way back to the fence. After climbing back over it, she soon disappeared. Derek turned to his girlfriend. "Why are you like this, Roni? What happened to you?" As always, he was so unbelievably calm. Roni had never felt so vulnerable in her entire life. She really didn't know how to fight Derek, and she had brawled with many guys in her life. Somehow, this guy she had met day one in summer school had stolen her heart. He truly cared about her in spite of the fact that she was trouble. Now he had made her see how dark her soul truly was, and she began to cry. Derek and Roni held each other long enough for her to cry out her pent-up rage from the years of hell she endured to harden her the way she was. And then Derek lifted her teary eyes to his and kissed her tenderly. Roni completely submitted to him and kissed him back. When they finished, Derek took her hand and walked her to the farmhouse where he lived with his family. As many times as Derek had been to Roni's apartment at Strickfield Cove, she hadn't been able to seduce him to her bed, and she took care of her apartment the same way she took care of her body. But now, she had the feeling they would finally be going to bed real soon. Primrose kept running until she came back to Strickfield High School. She hoped she could get inside the building and lose Roni. She had never been so scared of any one individual in all her life. Okay, two. She still remembered Lillian Johansson's ghost from in the alley next to the Strickfield Centennial Theater 4 days earlier. Primrose found one of the back doors open and went into the school. It was the middle of the afternoon, so only a select few faculty members would likely be inside, or maybe a custodian. She came out into the hallway and thought about running into the gymnasium to hide from Roni there. She pulled on both sets of doors to find they were quite locked. "Can I help you, dear?" a voice called out. Primrose looked and saw the drama instructor, Devin Decker, approaching her. "I'm sorry, the gymnasium's closed until the end of the week." "Someone's chasing me," Primrose quickly told her. "Who's chasing you?" Devin asked suspiciously. "She's going to kill me!" Devin eased Primrose into her arms. "Nobody's going to kill you here, dear." Primrose quickly tore away from Devin. "How can you say that?" Then she laughed and spun around with her arms outstretched. "People died here, at the prom from hell." Devin sighed. "Come with me. You need to get yourself together." Devin escorted Primrose to the little theater and had her sit in one of the seats. After she had finished crying, she looked up at her savior. "Thank you, Miss Decker," Primrose whispered. "It's quite all right, dear," Devon replied. Then Primrose recognized Devon a little more. "I do know you. You were close to Lillian Johansson." "I'm close to a lot of people," Devon replied. Primrose shook her head. "I've seen you with Lillian lots of times when she was alive. I walked by your house and saw you getting her ready for prom." "It was Lillian's first prom. She trusted me to make her look as beautiful and lovely as possible. I'm quite certain she was her class's choice to win the junior crown. Had she won it, she would have automatically been nominated for the senior class crown at next year's prom." She sighed. It's still upsetting what Laura Lee Hardy had done on prom night. Because of her, no prom queens were ever crowned. "I'm so sorry," Primrose said sadly. "Me too." Devon patted Primrose's shoulder. "Come on, dear. I'll take you home." Primrose brightened up. "Really? Don't you have work to do here?" "I do, but tomorrow's another day, and I'm nearly finished anyway." From there, Ms. Decker and Primrose left the little theater. Derek held Roni after they finished making love. Roni still found herself crying at times. She confided in Derek about how her parents had abandoned her when they felt she was old enough to get on by herself, at the age of 10. From there, she had to become street smart to be able to live. "My parents are both from money, Derek," Roni finished. "They abandoned me 'cause they ain't never wanted no kid. That's why I say rich people put me where I am." She sighed. "I fucking hate my life." Derek caressed the side of her face. "Maybe I can help. Why don't you come and work here?" Roni looked up at him. "What?" "My dad's always looking for people to come work on the farm here," Derek explained. "That's why I'm still here. Dad'll give you room and board and you'll be paid good. You can even learn about farming while you're out there. It'll be kind of like going to college." Roni pondered it. I don't know." He looked her in the face. "Then ask yourself if you want to keep doing what you're doing for the rest of your life." Roni quickly turned her back to him. "I've killed people, Derek. I ain't cold-blooded, but I've killed people. If it was either me or the motherfucker wanting to kill me, in a fight for my life, I'd choose me." She started crying again. "Just go call the fucking popo to come get me. I ain't running." Derek turned her back to him and held her again. "Look me in the eyes and tell me you never murdered anyone because you wanted to." Roni quickly pulled away. "Never! Yeah, I told people I'd kill them if they didn't pay what they owed, but that always scares them enough to make them pay. I would have never really hurt Primrose or Regal." She sighed. "I did lots of things I ain't proud of, Derek. You're really thinking I can just change? Come work with you on your dad's farm? Stay here with you? Loving you? Being your honey?" He caressed the side of her face. "You can change if you wanna. It's really that easy." Derek knew he had his answer when she lowered herself and kissed him. Then they made love again. Primrose left her house, thinking whoever attacked her there before might come for her again. Possibly Roni. She didn't want to involve her parents any further than they already were. She left the gated community and went into downtown Strickfield. She knew she'd be okay with people and lights. She decided she would go to Roth's Rings, a 24-hour donut shop and video game arcade. She knew she would be safe there for sure. As she started to pass an alley, she saw someone leaning oddly against the wall. The shape looked feminine. "Hey, are you all right?" Primrose called out. When the girl suddenly fell onto her back, Primrose ran into the alley to help. Upon reaching the girl, her hands went to her mouth as she screamed upon seeing the dead body of Regal Fairlane. There were 2 empty syringes right next to her. "Oh, God, "You fucking crazy bitch, Roni!" she yelled. Primrose turned and ran further into the alley when she suddenly found she didn't have her smartphone. She could get to the police station in minutes and be safe, so she soon turned down the connecting alley leading to the Strickfield Centennial Theater. Then she stopped when she remembered it was there that Samuel Wormton died. She sank to her knees and began to cry. "Primrose," a haunting, familiar voice sang. "Primrose." Primrose looked up and saw the glowing ghost of Lillian Johansson walking towards her. "No!" Primrose wailed as the ghost laughed horribly. She wanted to get up and run, but she was too exhausted with grief and weariness and petrified with fear as she held herself now. The ghost was soon right in front of her. "Didn't anyone ever teach you that it's wrong to do drugs, Primrose?" the ghost taunted her. "Regal just learned that lesson. Now it's time for you to learn too." The ghost produced a large, filled syringe in each hand. "Say no to drugs." Primrose's final scream was cut off when the ghost lowered herself and jammed the needles right into her neck. The last thing Primrose Mirren would ever feel were the lethal drugs squirting into her system. Primrose was dead before the syringes were even empty. The ghost finished emptying them before pulling them out and dropping them beside Primrose's corpse. Lillian Johansson laughed coldly and looked down at her body. "Death doesn't end here for you or Regal, dear. You two still have one final event you must attend before you can go to your graves." Final week, Thursday afternoon. Roni Brunswick and Derek Masters were working around the barn. Roni wasn't sure if she really wanted to trade a life of selling drugs for an honest job after all. She never knew working on a farm could be so hard. Several times, she wanted to just drop what she was doing and walk away. She knew she made way better money selling drugs alone than the generous offer Derek's father made her when he hired her. Roni never had anyone care about her the way Derek did. She knew she cared for him deeply too. These reasons would ultimately keep her on the farm, where she would try to make an honest life, if not for herself, then for Derek. Also, she had only one more day of Principal Matthew Van Diest's classes, the final hurdle to staying out of prison. She had passed government and knew she would pass economics. She would really graduate high school with Derek and have her new life with him. Roni shrieked when her smartphone rang in the bib of her overalls, snapping her out of her thoughts. She pulled it out and saw Primrose Mirren on her caller ID. "What?" she snapped. "Rhonda Brunswick? This is Devin Decker, the drama teacher from Strickfield High. And you're calling me on Primrose Mirren's cell phone because..." Primrose came to me 2 days ago and said someone was chasing her. As it turned out, she disappeared from her house. Her parents called me and asked if I'd seen her, since I was the last one to see her before she disappeared. I found her cell phone in the little theater at school. She must have dropped it the last time I saw her. She didn't have a password set, so I looked through her recent calls. You were the last one she talked to. "And you're thinking I know where she is?" Roni translated. "Sorry, I ain't seen Primrose nowhere. She ain't even been coming to school the last few days." "Well, I'm going to call some others to come and help look for Primrose. Maybe you could come and help look too." Suddenly, it sounded as if the phone was pulled away. "I'm sorry, you can't be here. No, get away. No, stop. What are you doing? Stop." There were some loud noises. "No." Suddenly, the call ended. Roni quickly told Derek what had happened. From there, they dropped what they were doing and jumped into Derek's pickup truck to race to Strickfield High School. Randy Ullery and Cameron Johansson pulled in at Strickfield High and parked. They got out of the car and walked to the building. "I'm surprised the main doors are unlocked," Cameron said as they walked inside. "I didn't see Ms. Decker's car anywhere. She's the one who called us to come out here and help look for Primrose." Yeah, I know, Randy agreed. Let's go see if Ms. Decker is in the little theater. Just then, they heard noises coming from the gymnasium and walked to the 2 double sets of doors there. It sounded like music was being played inside. Randy and Cameron pulled on the doors to find they were locked. Ms. Decker, you in there? Randy called out. No response. Just then, Randy turned to see Cameron had picked up a trash can and was breaking the glass to access a fire axe. What are you doing? You never know. Cameron lowered the can and handed the axe to him. Anyway, they'll think Roni Brunswick did it. Randy accepted the axe and worked one of the gymnasium doors open with it. Cameron held the door open before following Randy inside. They both gasped at what they saw. Oh my God, Cameron choked. Jesus, Randy uttered with equal horror. Suddenly, the ghost of Lillian Johansson was blocking the gymnasium doors. I'm so happy you two finally arrived. Do something, Randy, Cameron cried. Then the ghost reached out and snatched the axe away from him. When they stepped back, Lillian laughed. It's time you two got ready. The other guests will be here soon. Derek and Roni entered the high school through the main doors. Derek had a baseball bat, and Roni had a tire iron. Nobody's here, Roni observed. And why are them doors unlocked? Probably how whoever got Ms. Decker got in, Derek guessed. Then Roni raised her finger. You hearing that? Derek listened. Sounds like it's coming from the gym. They moved to the telltale doors. Roni grabbed one of the handles and was careful in opening it. She went in first. Derek followed close behind. They both gasped in utter horror at the appalling sight now before them. Roni looked at Derek. What the fucking motherfucking fuck? Derek shook his head quickly. I don't believe what I'm seeing either, Roni. The gymnasium resembled a school dance. A stage was set up with a banner over it that had Strickfield High School Prom across it in runny, blood-red lettering. Across from the stage was the DJ station, with a vinyl record playing over the speakers. Tables and chairs were set up around the walls, with refreshments tables placed at different points. Several dead, rotting corpses were seated at their tables. More corpses were on the dance floor, propped up to resemble couples dancing. Another corpse was at the DJ station. All of them were dressed formally for this event. But it was what was on the stage itself that had truly horrified Roni and Derek. Several of their former classmates were on it, and they were also dressed up. Like the other bodies, they were also quite dead. All of the female bodies were formally clad in prom dresses. Their male dates were wearing tuxedos and were positioned and propped up to stand directly behind them. Clearly they were made up to look like the prom queen's court. Jesus fuck! Lillian Johansson! Roni choked. Lillian Johansson was indeed sitting at the center of her court, on a throne. Though she had been dead for far longer than the others on stage, she still looked amazingly preserved, with absolutely no signs of decay or blemishes whatsoever. Even Lillian's dress looked the same as it was before her murder. From left to right, the first seat was Cameron Johansson, with Bill Baxter behind her. The second seat was Regal Fairlane, with Austin Zachary behind her. The center seat, the throne, had Lillian Johansson sitting in it, with Randy Ullery behind her. The fourth seat had Primrose Mirren, with Samuel Wormton behind her. Only the fifth and final seat was empty, with no male companion standing behind it. At the center of the stage was a microphone. Next to it was a stand where a crown rested. Leaning on the stand was a long scepter with a sash hanging on it. The sash read, Strickfield High School Prom Queen, also in runny, blood red lettering. "We gotta call the police, Roni," Derek said. Suddenly, the music stopped. Then the lovers heard the sounds of horrible, evil laughter and turned to see the glowing, ghostly form of Lillian Johansson blocking the gymnasium doors. "I'm so happy you could join my prom," the ghost said. "You need to get gussied up and join my court on stage. The final place is reserved, just for the two of you." Roni raised the tire iron. "Get fucked!" she cried out as she felt a sharp pain in the back of her neck. Suddenly, Roni was quite sleepy and sank to her knees fast. And then, blackness enfolded her. Roni awakened to find herself tied to a chair on stage. Another slow song was playing. She looked down to see she was now clad in formal prom attire herself. She also felt her face had been touched up with makeup. She looked up to see Derek dressed in a tuxedo and secured to her chair as her prom date. The ghost of Lillian Johansson approached the stage and stood in front of it. She clapped her hands in front of her. "Simply perfect. I do so love a great show, but this is the absolute perfect prom." The ghost laughed as she moved her hand up to her hair and easily removed it. Then she removed the outer layer of her glowing face to reveal her real one underneath. Now Roni and Derek easily recognized. "Ms. Decker?" Derek uttered in surprise. "You gotta be kidding me!" Roni was just as shocked. "You fucking sick bitch! I mean, why?" "Why?" Devin fired back. "My Lillian never got to have her prom. You have no idea how long my baby girls waited for this night. A girl only gets 2 proms in high school. Lillian was going to win the junior class prom queen crown. It doesn't carry the same prestige as the senior class crown, but it gets you an automatic nomination for it at next year's prom. My Lillian would have also won the senior crown and be tapped by a major college sorority. Lillian would have been leaving Strickfield to move on to bigger and better things. Doesn't every mother want that for her baby?" "You ain't her fucking mom," Roni stated matter-of-factly. "I seen Lillian's parents before." Devin smirked. "I'm sure you have. My younger sister was never a good mother to Lillian. Like her, I had 2 kids of my own. Unlike her, I devoted my life and attention to them, raised them right. They're both out of the house now and made something of themselves. Seeing how Lillian was neglected, even by Cameron, her older sister, I sued for custody of Lillian and won. Lillian had a much better life with me. After seeing my prom pictures, Lillian told me she wanted to go, more than anything, especially when she told me she had been nominated for the junior class prom queen crown. Naturally, I got Lillian ready and made her as beautiful as she was ever going to be." Devin gestured to the stage. "Makeup and special effects were 2 of my greatest attributes. That's what got me my job here at Strickfield High as the drama instructor. Amazing what I could do with a little makeup, a mask, a wig with a built-in voice reverberator, and lots of luminescent bass that I created myself. But my greatest achievement was recreating the prom. Just for my Lillian. Yeah, by making a new prom from hell," Roni fired back. "Congratulations." Devin revealed a gun and aimed it at her. "Don't you test me, you degenerate. I really don't want to kill you or your boyfriend. Besides having you two appreciate my work, You both complete the Queen's court." She lowered the gun. "Wouldn't you agree, Randy?" Both Roni and Derek gasped when they saw Randy Ullery move out from behind Lillian. "So it was you who shot and doped Derek and me," Roni growled. "Just like I did to Samuel Wormton," Randy assured her. "Only what I shot him with was poison. You and Derek got a tranquilizer." He walked down to the floor to join his partner. "I helped Devin with assembling her amazing recreation of prom night, you know." Derek glanced down at Roni. "You okay, hun?" Roni rolled her eyes. "Fuck no! We're surrounded by dead people. There's 2 whack jobs in front of us, and I'm wearing a fucking dress!" "So, you 2 killed everybody up here to make a court for Lillian?" Derek asked. "You even managed to get all those other bodies out there in here. You do understand Lillian can't really appreciate all this, right?" "Since Lillian can only win her crown and have her prom in death, I figured that might as well be the theme," Devin cheered. Then she became angry again. "Laurel Lee Hardy took Lillian that night, in cold blood. Lillian just wanted to be a prom queen, like me, and Laurel Lee Hardy wouldn't even let her have that. People only remember Lillian as being one of the prom queen killer's victims from the prom from hell. I can't let Lillian have that legacy, can I?" Devin gestured to Randy. "He never got over her death either, and was too eager to help me put all of this together. Unfortunately, not all of the original prom queen candidates from the junior class are up there. Turns out Laurel Lee Hardy killed them that night. Only Primrose Mirren was left, who was nominated with Lillian. But we can't have a complete court with only a few of the candidates, so we made a few more nominations, if you will. And now, you and Rhonda are a welcome addition to Lillian's court." Roni looked at Randy. "Why fucking kill Cameron? Wasn't she your honey?" "That's what I wanted her to think," Randy replied. "But all she ever did was abuse Lillian and keep her under her shadow. I had to show Cameron the error of her ways by putting a bullet right through her heart. I'm surprised that bitch even had one with how she treated Lillian when she was alive." Roni shook her head slowly. "People say I'm a fucking crazy, sick bitch, but you 2, oh, you guys make me look as sane as my boyfriend." Devin waved the gun. "You just keep talking, Rhonda. Talk while you still can. You mentioned the prom from hell. You're going to get a real prom from hell very soon. Randy, I think it's best for you to get the ball rolling now." Randy glanced her way. "Ain't you forgetting something?" Devin quickly raised her finger. "Oh, you're absolutely right, Randy. We can't officially have Lillian's coronation without the Master of Ceremonies himself, can we? Yes, go." Randy went out of sight for a moment and returned with Principal Matthew Van Diest dressed in his own tuxedo. He was tied and gagged. "All the doors are locked up tight," Devin said. "Randy, untie Mr. Van Diest, please." When Principal Van Diest was free and saw this prom night of the dead, he felt ready to fall to his knees and vomit. Randy held him up. "Don't you dare." Devin waved the gun. "Everything's all set up on stage for you, Mr. Van Diest. You have a very important coronation to conduct regarding Lillian. Go on up, please." Principal Van Diest reluctantly walked up on the stage and was soon standing at the microphone. Then he gave Roni and Derek a sympathetic look. Now he looked at just Roni and gave her an odd look. "Really, Van Diest? You gotta stare at my fucking tits right now?" Roni yelled. "Face front, Mr. Van Diest," Devin snapped. Principal Van Diest was scared as hell, but he cleared his throat and began reciting his yearly speech for crowning the prom queen. However, he knew something that both Devin and Randy didn't. Roni was cutting through the zip tie, that bound her wrists with a switchblade. When Roni was being dressed for prom, she was never thoroughly searched. She had 2 switchblades cleverly concealed inside her spiked leather cufflets. Roni only gave Principal Van Diest a hard time to keep him from accidentally giving her away. When Roni finished cutting through and breaking her zip tie, she worked on cutting Derek's. When he was free, the lovers looked at one another and knew they were going to make their last stand, here and now. They looked ahead and shot forward. "Fuck you!" Roni screamed, interrupting Van Diest's crucial moment when he was about to name Lillian Johansson, the prom queen. "No!" Devin shouted in surprise. Roni and Derek leaped off the stage. Roni's shoes dropped off her feet before she punched Devin on her landing. Devin dropped the gun as a result, but Randy was able to beat Derek to it. He pointed it right at Derek, then on Roni, and then back again. "No!" Randy shouted. "You drop those knives and get back in your places, or so help me God, I will shoot you both!" When Randy waved the gun at them, the lovers reluctantly did as they were told and went back up on stage. After retaking their positions, Randy pointed the gun at Principal Van Diest. "Finish the ceremony, please." Principal Van Diest was about to resume when he saw Randy pull a large gasoline can out from under one of the refreshments tables. Randy removed the cap and started sloshing the gasoline around. "Once Lillian's crowned prom queen and I'm back on stage, then we'll truly have the prom from hell, and you 3 get to be a part of it." And then, suddenly, a gunshot was heard. A moment later, Randy fell over. The 3 survivors on stage saw the bullet hole in the side of Randy's head. Then they saw that Devin had a second gun. "I guess you and I think alike, Rhonda," Devin said. Then she picked up the gasoline can. "I couldn't let Randy be with Lillian in death, could I? He didn't even care enough about her in life to keep Laura Lee Hardy from viciously killing her 2 months ago." She poured the gasoline on his body and set it on fire. "You can burn right here and now, Randy. Alone." Then she pointed the gun at Principal Van Diest. "Finish the ceremony! Crown Lillian prom queen, now!" Principal Van Diest turned to face Roni, looking directly at her endowed upper body again. Roni immediately noticed and became angry. "Stop staring at my tits, you fucking pervert!" she yelled. "Come here and make me, Rhonda," Van Diest challenged her. Roni growled and rushed him. Van Diest surprised Roni by snatching her to him. He held her close as he kissed her on the lips. "Hey!" Derek yelled. "Let her go!" "I mean it, Mr. Van Diest. I will shoot you!" Devin shouted. As Principal Van Diest continued to kiss Roni, only Derek was now seeing the principal slipping one of the switchblades he had previously confiscated from Roni into her hand. Roni now understood that Van Diest was trying to help her by giving her one last chance. Roni brought the switchblade to life and stepped away from Principal Van Diest. She ran fast and jumped off the stage again. Devin cried out and fired her gun as Roni threw her switchblade. Devin had missed, but Roni didn't. The blade sunk deep into Devin's head, making her stagger before she dropped the gun and fell. After Principal Van Diest extinguished Randy's body, the survivors went to the main office and called the police. The prom night of the dead was officially over. As with the prom from hell 2 months prior, no candidate was officially crowned prom queen. Epilogue, Saturday morning. Summer school was finally over. Today was a special commencement ceremony in the little theater. Roni couldn't believe she was wearing a cap and gown. It actually felt wonderful. and she smiled as Principal Van Diest handed her her diploma while shaking her hand. She watched as Derek received his. Roni graduated and would remain free, though she still had to do her community service and settle up with Principal Van Diest for the vandalism she had done to his house. Derek wouldn't have to return for his senior year since now he had all the academic credits he needed. Roni couldn't believe she was really going to do this, but she approached Principal Van Diest and hugged him. Van Diest was beside himself for a moment before he hugged her back. "Thank you," she said. "And I'm sorry about everything." When they came apart, they looked at each other with their new respect. When the special commencement ceremony was finished, Principal Van Diest dismissed everyone. Derek and Roni were at his truck, where they shared a long, celebratory kiss at finally being free of their academic obligations. When they finished their kiss, Roni saw Principal Van Diest coming out through the main doors. Then the lovers looked at each other. Derek nodded once as Roni smirked, mischievously. She turned to look at the principal. "Hey! Van Diest!" When the principal looked her way, Roni quickly unzipped and opened her gown, to both flash and shake her naked body, happily. Principal Van Diest gasped before he smirked and shook his head slowly. Roni closed her gown back up and got into Derek's truck. From there, the lovers left Strickfield High School, for possibly the last time. Roni knew she would catch hell from Principal Van Diest for flashing him when she agreed to start working odd jobs at his house the following week to square what she owed him for her vandalism. She didn't care. She was free now. She was leaving her former life behind her to be with Derek and work with him on his father's farm, making an honest living and learning a new trade. 1 year later, Derek would marry Roni. As for the prom night of the dead, it would be yet another Strickfield story, among the many, that people would tell around Halloween, around campfires, and of course, always on prom night. Well, my spookies, it's time to end our dance with death for tonight. But don't worry, there's always more fear for your ears here at Weekly Spooky, so make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app, and if you love what we're doing and want even more, go to weeklyspooky.com/join. For as little as $1 a month, you get 2 bonus shows every single month and over 4 years of exclusive audiobooks and creepypasta readings. But now, my spookies, go and rest your head. Nothing is coming for you in the dark, right?